Hey guys, for today's video, I'm going to do a challenge on one of my favorite game franchises of all time, Silent Hill. Now I'm sure most people have heard of the Silent Hill series, either through the movies or the games, with there currently being 8 mainline games, 8 spin-offs, and 2 movies. For today's video, we're going to be doing a challenge on Silent Hill 1, which is in my opinion the best game in the series. For today's challenge, we're going to see if it's possible to beat Silent Hill 1 with only a knife. If you've played the first game, you know that this game gives you plenty of ammo to fight off your attackers, and because of this, most players probably have never had to use the kitchen knife to fight any enemies in a normal playthrough. But since this isn't a normal playthrough, we're going to see how far we can get with just this weapon. Before we get started, let's go over the rules first. For Rule 1, we have to only use the knife. If we have to fight, only the knife is allowed to push back our aggressors. And for Rule 2, we are going to play the game on normal difficulty. I'm not playing on easy because I'm not a little bitch, and I'm not playing on hard for a reason that I'll explain later. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. Now, after getting taken down by gray children and waking up in a cafe, we have a conversation with Sybil until she gives us a gun and leaves. We immediately shoot all of the bullets out of our gun, and this is required for a reason that will be explained later. We grab all the items in the cafe, including the kitchen knife, and immediately save. Something to mention is that the kitchen knife has 2 attacks. One is just a stab attack, and the other is where you can do 1 to 2 slashes. Each of these moves are useful for the run. Once we head to the door, we initiate our first battle against the Air Screamer. This fight feels like a small boss fight, as you only have 2 healing items and the Air Screamer can kill you in 6 to 7 hits. The only way to kill it is by slashing it with the knife, as stabbing doesn't hit it. The strategy for this fight is to walk against one of the chairs in the diner and only do 1 slash of the knife when it gets close, as doing 2 slashes doesn't give enough time to dodge attacks. After dying a couple of times, we were able to beat the monster. And once that's over, we leave the cafe and head out into the town of Silent Hill. Now in the town, we have to collect 3 keys hidden around the map. 2 keys can be found at the end of streets, while 1 can be found in an alley behind the cafe we were in earlier. I would also recommend trying to collect any healing items in the town, as they will be incredibly useful for later in the game. The only enemies encountered out in the town are the Air Screamers and the Groaners, both of which can be easily dodged just by running and turning. Once we have collected all the items we need, we collect the key in the doghouse on Levin Street and head into the house where we use the 3 keys we grabbed earlier. Once we head outside, it immediately gets dark, and because of this, we are now able to use Silent Hill 1's basic stealth features. By turning off your flashlight when it's dark, enemies are less likely to notice you, and you can even just walk by them. We turn off our flashlight and run to Midwich Elementary School, where we have to run around and solve small puzzles while also dodging gray children, which is much easier by turning off your flashlight. Once we solve all of the puzzles, we head into the clock tower and make our way into the nightmare version of the school. Here we dodge more gray children and collect more keys and healing items until we make our way to the first roadblock of the challenge, the Split Head. The first phase of this fight isn't tough. All it does is shove you with its head, which doesn't even do much damage, so you can easily just stab him over and over. Once enough damage is done, is when the real fight begins. This is the reason I chose normal difficulty. On normal playthroughs, this fight is really easy, as it takes a couple of blasts from the shotgun into its open mouth to put it down, but this time, that's not an option. We have to keep walking back and knifing over and over while trying to dodge its gaping mouth. If you get caught by its mouth, it's instant death, and this is the reason why I struggle with this fight, as it takes a long time to beat this second phase. It took me 10 minutes of just knifing over and over to finally defeat him. On hard mode, this phase alone takes almost 20 minutes, and his attacks are much faster too, allowing for almost 0 mistakes. I died a couple of times, and each death meant having to redo everything all over again. But once we defeat it, we are able to grab a key, and finally are able to leave the school. We run down some streets and unlock a door to a backyard where we head through a house. We run through some more streets until we get to Balkan Church, where we find Dahlia Gillespie, who tells us about the wonders of gyromancy.
Were you ringing that bell? I've been expecting you. It was foretold by gyromancy.
She eventually leaves, and we grab the flower roast and the key to activate the drawbridge where we can head to Central Silent Hill. We make our way to Alchemilla Hospital, where once inside we find Kaufman, who has some of the worst aiming I've ever seen.
Hold it! Stop! Don't shoot!
Once he's gone, we head into a few rooms where we collect the basement key and the unknown liquid needed for the good plus ending. We run into the basement where we turn on the basement generator and head to the elevator and start the Nightmare Hospital section. In this place, we head up various floors, collecting any key and healing items we find along the way. We encounter a new enemy down here, which are the nurses. If you just turn off your flashlight, they are really easy to get around. There is one nurse that you have to fight to get through a door, but other than that, you don't have to fight anything. Eventually we find Lisa Garland, where after having a short conversation, we wake up in the normal world, where we have another short conversation with Dahlia. She leaves us a key to the antique shop, and once we grab it, we make our way there. Once inside, we meet with Sybil, who gives some interesting theories on what's going on.
Must be on drugs. They sell them to the tourists. The Force still can't figure out who's behind it. None of our leads have panned out, and the investigation is stalled.
What could drug trafficking have to do with all this?
I really don't know.
We make our way through a hole and find a shrine. When we try to run back, we end up waking up in the other world.
Was that another dream?
We run outside and run through the Silent Hill Town Center, where the floor gives way and we fall to our lower floor. Here we have to fight the Twin Feeler, which you can't hit with your knife. So yeah, it is impossible to inflict damage with the knife on this guy. The slash and stabs just aren't capable of hitting it. So we have to look outside the box, or look out of bounds. By having a romper knock you into the stairs outside of the antique shop, which triggers a load screen, you are able to run right through the door that leads to the antique shop. By running straight into the void, you'll eventually reach the rooftop outside of Alchemilla Hospital, which skips the Twin Feeler boss entirely. We make our way to the hospital where Lisa tells us a way to get to the lake. We head out of the hospital, where we run back to the roof again to fight the Float Stinger. So, I beat this boss on the first try, and I didn't use a very good strategy. I just kept hacking away at it while tanking all of its attacks and would heal when my health got low. With enough time, I eventually beat it and returned to the normal world. Now we make our way to Old Silent Hill, where we end up outside the waterworks. Down in the sewers, we do a lot of running around, and down here, we encounter one of the more frustrating enemies in the run, which are the Hanged Scratchers. They are hard to run by, as the paths are really tight, and because of this, they are able to hit us a lot, which does pretty good damage. After enough time running through the sewers, we climb up a ladder and arrived at Silent Hill Resort. We head to Annie's bar, where we save Kaufman from death and then pick up the key he drops. We type in the passcode outside of the hotel, where we pick up the magnet and then use the magnet to collect a key to a motorcycle. When we take the strange vial from the motorcycle, Kaufman comes in and gets just a tiny bit angry.
Give me that.
What is this?
That's none of your business. Instead of messing with that, how about coming up with a way to get out of here? You shouldn't be hanging around here goofing off. What do you think you're doing? You want to get yourself killed? Get out of here.
Okay, take it easy.
Unless you want to die, keep your mind on business.
Now we head to the pier, where we find Sybil and then split up again. We head to the lighthouse, and after a cutscene, immediately head to the sewers. It's so much easier to get through the sewers this time around, as not many enemies get in the way. We eventually reach the music park, where we have to fight Sybil. We used the unknown liquid we found in the hospital to immediately finish the fight and get to the last part of the game. We are now in a place called Nowhere. This place is just like the hospital as we still fight nurses and collect more items. A new enemy does show up here, which are the Stalkers. They are the same as the Grey Children, but are just much harder to see, so they can be pretty annoying to dodge in the dark. After collecting all the items we need, we make our way to the final boss of the game, the Incubus. It stays in the air the whole fight and constantly shoots lightning at you, which means we can't hit it with our knife. But there is a way to beat it. Remember when we shot all of the bullets out of our gun at the start of the game? This right here is why. By not having any ammo in our weapons when we get to the fight, the Incubus will just automatically die on its own after a short amount of time. Once he dies, we have officially been Silent Hill 1 with only a knife. This challenge was really fun. While I wouldn't say that the challenge was that hard, there were still some really challenging moments such as the fight with the split head and attempting the out of bounds glitch. That took me forever. I hope you enjoyed this video. Consider liking and subscribing if you want to see more gaming challenges like this one, and I will see you in the next video. Later.